First Thessalonians was written by Paul in response to a report that Timothy brings to him. See, Paul had to leave Thessalonica quickly. We learned this in Acts 17. Paul himself says in 1 Thessalonians 2:17 or 2:17 that he was orphaned from them, bereft of them, stripped away of them. And he points out that he tried to get back to them time and again, but somehow Satan stepped in on him, hindered him. How, we know not. Because he could not get back to them, he sent Timothy as an envoy, as a go-between, as a messenger. So Timothy goes to Thessalonica, is there to offer a pastoral presence. Paul was fearful that the Thessalonians who had experienced opposition when they received the gospel would fall away from the faith. So he wanted to bring in support. Since he couldn't be there, he sent Timothy. Timothy now returns to Paul at this point in Corinth, having moved to the south from Athens. And Timothy, Paul says, brings him glad tidings, the good news of the Thessalonians' faith. They've not flagged in the faith. They've not forfeited the faith. They're steadfast in the faith. And so Paul now, overjoyed, writes a letter of affection, a letter of reaffirmation, a letter of instruction to the Thessalonians. As it happens, it appears that this was the earliest letter that Paul wrote. Some of our friends think that Galatians may have been the first letter that Paul wrote, and it could well have been. But many, ourselves included, think that this was the first letter. So a scholar like Helmut Kester calls this an experiment in Christian writing. Or Raymond Collins calls this the birth of the New Testament. It is interesting to think that with this little letter of affirmation and additional instruction, what came to be known as our New Testament begins. Not exactly the most conspicuous beginnings, but it's amazing what comes forth from a mustard seed.